Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again with my final build video for the League of Sentinel League, which overall pretty good league I think. Either way, I want to set out to kind of make a something with a battle mage sort of vibe that uses a pure LE wand to then have a bunch of extra damage, and I wanted to use Spellslinger since it's one of the new sort of little bit of buffed things coming in the next patch. So there are just a few buffs here or there, and Spellslinger is one of them. It gets more added effectiveness to spells, or from the weapon that you use, and it goes from 100 to 170%, so it's a sizable buff, and I wanted to do something with it. So I tried to make somewhat of a nerf proof and a build that kind of works next patch, maybe even a bit better. So this is the Inquisitor Spellslinger using Kinetic Blast just to sort of trigger a lot of things at once with cast on crit. And then I've got two Spellslinger setups at the moment with Rolling Magma. I was going to say Magma. Rolling Magma twice. One in cast on crit and one in a Spellslinger setup, and then a IceSpear as well. I started out with lots of IceSpear, so I had two different IceSpears, and then I was using shit I don't even remember, but it was mostly IceSpear basically. I tried out a lot of things, so I've tried out Fireball, Freezing Pulse, and it's kind of a choose your own adventure of spell casting or spell slinging, because it is just using most of its damage scaling from a triple LE wand and then also Battle Mage. And if you didn't know, because I didn't know either, Spellslinger adds the damage from your weapon onto the spell, so kind of like a Battle Mage thing. And then Battle Mage from Inquisitor also adds damage from your weapon to the spell, so it kind of uses, you could use the word double dip, but you can just have two different sources of Battle Mage that way, if we're talking Battle Mage and then Spellslinger as well. So it becomes somewhat of a powerful interaction to get extra scaling, and it becomes, as you can see, an absolute clusterfuck on the screen. So the bitrate while playing this build is pretty bad, and obviously the footage is then going to be pretty bad. Once I swapped into Rolling Magma, the clear felt really streamlined and pretty damn smooth. The single target was not too bad, but I don't know if I could make it much better with anything anyway. Like I said, I tried out a lot of spells, and I felt like this is the most fun combo at the time, mostly just Rolling Magma with a bit of IceSpear, but you can try pretty much anything out with this type of a setup. Rolling Magma, however, just has a real nice clear to it and sort of aesthetic as well, especially with the dying sun MTX. It's just adding purple all over the screen. So the biggest problem for this build is going to be single target, because I don't know, just it's basically made to clear otherwise, is what it feels like. Single target's still okay, so I've built it to sustain RF if I need to. So for some maps I still pop RF, for others I just let my regen do the work for a bit of extra, or for a lot of extra survivability. I've also tried to build it as a non-armor, non-determination type character, because people say Grace, Determination, Defiance Banner, that's the only thing out there for defenses, and instead of just gone like full block with glancing and a bunch of regen and freezing shit and then good recovery, and it seems to work out well enough. Got to level 94 pretty quickly, and mapping is a breeze. Have taken on some Ubers, have taken on plenty of the Endgame, and it's not too bad for all of that. As you can see, it is pretty nice for clear, it is pretty nice for maps though, and basically just a low life character with petrified blood. Like I said, that's essentially all we've got for our defenses, as well as the glancing blow. Did do this 5-way, and it felt like it was a really nice 5-way character. Like the clear was super good, and the single target actually held up pretty well too. Got to 4 or 5 stacks of the 5-way in the end, which 4 stacks, so I think we started the 4th wave. So it was actually, pretty damn good. Didn't really expect it. On top of that, did a whole Grandmaster's first try, died just a few times at the end to Putrefy, Rot, Fester, that dude. of course, and also the Lightning Warp guy. So some pretty nutty ones, but Inquisitor's not too bad against Hologram Masters, just because you can, ignore enemy resists, and that's a large source of sort of damage against anything in the Hall of Grandmasters. Killed my first all for the league as I was trying to finish off challenges as well, so just trying to get 36 challenges on the character. Killed a couple of alls, a couple of other delve bosses. Overall, character just felt like a nice little full package, I suppose is what I would say, for everything. Like I said, single target was nothing mind-blowing, so the two Ubers I ended up just trying was Shaper with Maven on it, so it is quite a bit more intense. I think it could take on most Ubers in the end, but I didn't love the single target sort of setup, so I wasn't going to go super hard on them, though I'll probably still try a few more today. So I did Shaper with Maven influence, and this time around Maven added a clone, and that means it adds even more Shapers, so by the end of it there's just like fucking 5 Shapers on screen sometimes, but it was still doable. DPS is probably something like 5 to 10 million, just depends on the lineup of various things, etc. So what else we have is also Cortex. Ended up doing Uber Cortex. That was pretty smooth, fairly easy, Magma Orb overlaps fairly nicely on it. Did Feared all at once, and that actually held up pretty well, surprisingly. So when I actually press RF at the moment, I do have roughly about an equilibrium of regen, so I'm basically not regenning anything, but once life gain on hit and life leech kick in, then there is some level of sustain. But as you can see, the Shaper does get pretty insane with all of the mods, and my character doesn't have any spell suppress, just the glancing blow, so I can't infinitely tank those blue balls. We have to definitely do some dodging and all of that. No real max res either, so it's basically just glancing blow and some EHP, some life and energy shield, since I am using Eldritch Battery with Mind Over Matter, Petrified Blood, so it's kind of thick, just doesn't have any of the traditional thickness. And then lastly, this is the last clip I've got for the character, is just the Feared all at once. It's actually kind of crazy how Feared used to be a big challenge, for most characters. You can really see the power creep that has happened over the past year. Feared used to be a pretty big challenge, and plenty of characters I'm like, I don't know if I should even try the Feared, and that was just having 2 at a time. 2 of them spawn, another one spawn, 2 spawn, and now every single character is taking on Feared all at once, which would have been a crazy feat back then. And not only that, some are doing it like supremely easily. This one I would not have said was supremely easily. It was pretty good. It was only 1 death, and it held up a lot better than I thought it would, but it was a pretty big clusterfuck in the end, just having to run around. But I do think Rolling Magma holds up super well for all this kind of endgame, and I was super surprised with how well Rolling Magma did. Makes me want to do another Spellslinger, or maybe a self-cast Rolling Magma, because its mechanics are strong and its damage is pretty strong. Can definitely build some really nice characters around it at the moment, I think. So that's, pretty much all there is for the gameplay. I mean, I had plenty more, but can't fit in everything. Maps real nice, does some good bosses. Probably can do all Ubers, but they will be a bit sketchy here or there. Either way, shouldn't really measure most builds against only Uber content. So let me just show you real quick how I built the character. So here's the current character, level 94, lost to Chow from the climbing video where I couldn't beat the Chow challenge. Either way, Inquisitor, so there's kind of a lot of moving parts and a lot of variables that are going to change as you build the character, so by all means, there's plenty that you can change and not just do the exact same thing, especially since, gearing is going to be a bit different next league, based off of a lot of things, so the economy and recombinators, all that jazz. So basically I wanted to make a LE wand, so grabbed a fractured imbued and then just used some essences on it until I got another essence roll, and or another fire roll, sorry. So used cold essences, got a fire roll, and then just finished off the suffixes with some double damage focus. And we're using Spellslinger, so all of that damage goes directly to the spell that Spellslinger is attached to. to, as you can see here. What does it say? Supported skills have added spell damage equal to 100% of damage of equipped wand. And then on top of that, we've also got the ascendancy of Instruments of Virtue, which is Battle Mage, and that, as I mentioned, goes on top of your Spellslinger damage as well, as I can demonstrate here real quick. 46,000 average. Take that out and we've got ourselves 34,000 average. So that's what the Battle Mage is going to add, like another stack of my wand's worth of damage. So for the cast on crit setup, that won't be doing anything Spellslinger wise, but it'll just be Battle Maging. But I've got two different Spellslinger setups, since Spellslinger is kind of how you want to utilize it. Like, it reserves more, but means that every single cast there'll be two spells. There'll be IceSpear and Magma Orb, or Rolling Magma, coming out at the same time. So the idea was kind of a pseudo 5 or 6 link sort of thing for both gloves and hat. For gloves, I grabbed some, just rolled an essence with Socketed Gems, have crit, and then combined it with some sort of temple gloves and ended up rolling this type of glove, so just a bunch of crit, and then locked suffixes, unveiled, and either proj or AoE is good there, so +2. And then we played around with lots of different spells, but I think Rolling Magma was the nicest in the end. That then has crit damage, Spellslinger, and slower proj at the moment. For this hat up here, I grabbed, just once again, essences, and this is a very basic hat. 30% more LE essence, rolled until something happened, just a couple of res, and then once again locked suffixes and did an unveil for 2 additional proj. Neither of these are particularly important, since a lot of our damage is coming from stacking wand damage here, but sure, gem levels are still going to give even more. Otherwise, yeah, it should be kind of easy to make just the suffixes, the essence stuff there. So then up here we got crit damage, GMP, Spellslinger, and IceSpear. And then over here I did originally have like IceSpear and some other shit, but whatever. We ended up landing on Rolling Magma once again. So I was trying to make this build sort of a hybrid where it was using Power Siphon as single target and also cast on crit, but it just didn't make sense. I don't think my wand attack was going to be doing enough damage. The build was kind of scaling spell damage too much, and then not getting enough out of like this node over here, increases and reductions to spell damage. So I wanted to go like kind of a hybrid sort of thing, and it still does a bit of damage. Like Kinetic Blast is going to clear by itself a little bit, but it's not going to come anywhere close to the actual damage of the spells. So I ended up just chucking in a cast on crit setup and then using Kinetic Blast as just a trigger for generic AoE. So Kinetic Blast, GMP, crit strikes, Rolling Magma, crit damage, sorry, and then Awakened cast on crit. So a bunch of spell damage on a shield, some regen, some block, reusing Amulet, which doesn't need the +1, but it's, you know, nice. Bunch of stats, a little bit of multi. Then have a Shaper Elder smash together Awaken Ring with a bit of life gain on hit and crit multi, just so that we get both aspects of Mark of the Shaper. Mark of the Shaper, like 110 fucking spell damage, something like that, LE damage, so it's pretty damn hard to beat for damage. Then just a bit of cooldown recovery on a regular sort of belt, and boots that have some ailment avoid, and then with ailment avoid here as well, and some from the tree over here, we are ailment immune. So it's a pretty good character for like a sort of well-rounded sort of thing. The only difference is I don't have any max res, spell suppress, or armor, but overall, you know, that would be nice, but it doesn't seem that necessary. So if you can fit armor into the build too, cool. If you want to go a bit thicker or something, that'd be great. Currently I do have a bit of mana unreserved, since, I don't know, it just worked out that way. I was trying to squeeze as much as I could, and I've still got a bit unreserved, but completely throttled on gem sockets, so I can't add anything else. I specifically did not take the 15 mana reserve of skills mastery, since that won't exist next league, so I was trying to foolproof that. We do have the 30 life reserve efficiency. It's going to be 20, I think, next league, and I think I can still afford to fit that in. Otherwise, yeah, it's just a build that goes out of its way to get a bunch of life, some glancing blows, bit of damage from the glancing spell block thing, using Tempest Shield, Eldritch Battery to cast, and then, yeah, nothing else too crazy. I'll watch his eye with some life gain and hit. Not even sure how much that's doing anymore. I originally got it because I wanted to use Power Siphon with Barrage with a lot of Ice Spears, and there's less of that now, so I mean, I think it still helps, but maybe a damage one would be better at this stage, who knows. So yeah, it's fairly, you know, finely tuned character, so it's not going to be super easy to put together at this level, but I think it can be much closer to a starter earlier on. Really not sure at this point, haven't properly tried anything starter wise. I might give it a small test leveling and see how a Spellslinger setup as like an Inquisitor works early on, but it doesn't feel particularly great until you've got like the Inquisitor node and also the regen node, so that starts to take care of your mana, your energy shield, and your damage. So, you know, it might not really truly ramp until like Uber Lab. As far as the other setups are concerned, we've got Precision over here, Arrogance, Vitality, Tempest Shield. So Tempest Shield and Vitality are on my life. We then have Shield Charge, Divine Blessing, and Zealotry. So Zealotry, you know, next patch you can't use Life Tap attached to your blessings, so this is foolproofing once again. If you're an Eldritch Battery character, you can still press that and get free aura. We then have Flame Dash, Sniper's Mark, and Righteous Fire. I did have Sniper Mark on hit for a while, but to fit everything in, I had to just start self-casting it. Only against, you know, particular targets. But Mark on hit is really nice. If you can afford to drop something else, maybe you don't want to use the Blessing or some shit, I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, that's basically the character. Like I said, might be a tough starter, but maybe it's not too bad. I might give it a small test. As you can see, the gear is fairly fine-tuned, so, you know, it probably cost me like 20x to put together in the end, but maybe it's going to be a lot harder next time around. And the chest, I guess I forgot to talk about, it's just a smash from Awakener Orb of Power Charge on crit, Frenzy on hit, and then I finished the prefixes, Locked Suffix, did an Unveil, Exalted Life on there luckily, and then just got a life roll, since we're not allowed to use life as ES anymore. So yeah, that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, the character, spell slinging, looking forward to the next patch and all that. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.